What's going on, YouTube world? It's Cruiser Nation 3 coming at you again from the Dawg Cage. Where my dogs at? Welcome to the Dawg Cage, baby. It's your boy Cruiser, and I got my dog Smoke Dog in the building. Right now, what we're going to talk about today is the top 25 college rankings that just came out Monday night, what we feel about it, what you might feel about it. If you like it, if you don't like it, we're going to get into it. We're going to do a deep dive into it right now. But what we're going to do, man, we're going to start off with the top 25. We're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. Top 25 right now, we're going to go Iowa at number 25. At number 24, we go NC State. Number 23, we got USC. Number 22, we got Kansas. Number 21, we got Arizona. Number 20 is Texas A&M. Number 19 is Miami. Number 18 is K-State. Number 17 is Oklahoma State. 16, Oklahoma. 15, Tennessee. 14, Clemson. 13, LSU. 12, Utah. 11, Missouri. 10, Florida State. FSU, let's go Noles. That's me. Number 9, we got Michigan. Number 8, Penn State. Number 7, Notre Dame. Number 6, Ole Miss, y'all. Number 5, Alabama without St. Nick for the first time in a long time. Number 4, Steve Sarkisian in Texas. Number 3, Dan Lanning in the Oregon Ducks. Number 2, Ohio State. And number 1, the Georgia Bulldogs. Let's get into this, man. So right now, we're going to start from number 1. Georgia Bulldogs bring into the upcoming season, I think, going undefeated 2 years in a row. I think they 46 and 48 in the last 2 years. I think last year the only loss came in the SEC championship game, which once again Nick Saban and Alabama Crimson Tide took care of that. So right now, David Smoke, what you think of the top 5? We're gonna start with the top 5. Georgia, what you think in those settings right now? What you think?
Well, man, I think my top 5 gonna surprise you. Number 1, I got the Oregon Ducks. Number 2, I got Alabama. Number 3, I got Georgia. Number 4, I got Ohio State. And number 5, I have Texas Longhorns.
Okay, so where you want to start from? Do you want to start from going with Georgia at number 1, or you want to start from 5 and work your way up? Why you got why? Okay, I got a question for you. Why do you have Oregon number 1 over Ohio State and Georgia?
So when I answer this, can you pull up Oregon's schedule for me?
All right, we'll pull up Oregon's schedule. We're gonna go to Oregon and we will pull up Oregon's schedule.
So when you're pulling up Oregon's schedule, when you're looking at their schedule, looking at their strength of schedule, when I'm looking at what Oregon did in the transfer portal, and when you're looking at, they got the number 1 DB probably that came back in the country with the guy from Washington. I forgot, I think his name like Jabbar or something like that. He was the number 1 corners last year. He transferred from Washington over to Oregon. You also too got to look at one of the best receivers that was in the SEC last year. If I'm right, I think the guy name is Akers or something like that, transferred to Oregon. Oregon pretty much got their offensive line coming back. Pretty much a lot of their offensive firepower. Plus they got the quarterback that came from Oklahoma. Just looking at a lot of the weapons they have, and as you see their schedule right here, I mean, the only true test they really going to have, we're looking at Ohio State, which Ohio State got to come to Oregon. And then I really look at the only other real threat besides that probably going to be Michigan. I think Michigan going to be still a pretty good team. So that's the reason why I put Oregon at number 1, just really because of their schedule and just all the talent that they have on offense and defense.
So right now, I think Oregon, first game, they got Idaho. Number 2, they got Boise. Number 3, Oregon State. Number 1, 2, 3, 4 is UCLA, 5 Michigan State, and I think week 6 they got Ohio State, Purdue, Illinois, Michigan, and Washington. And I don't think Washington gonna be the same team. They lost a lot, lost their quarterbacks, lost their receivers. One of the receivers left and went to Alabama with Kalen DeBoer. So Washington might not be the same team. So right now, the 2 best teams Oregon gonna face as of right now is Ohio State and Michigan. So I can see why you would probably put Oregon right there at number 1 at the top, based on strength of schedule and what they got coming back next year. Dan Lanning doing a good job with that offense. Gonna be down here, gonna be physical. One question I got though, I want to know how Dylan Gabriel gonna handle the pressure of being at Oregon. He was at an SEC school, now Oklahoma at the time they was in the Big 12, but now he left Oklahoma and went out there to Oregon. So I want to see how he gonna be coming into the season. How Dan Lanning gonna use him? Is he gonna use him more as a runner, or is he gonna use him more as a passer? I want to really see how he gonna use that offense. Losing Bo Nix last year, I think Bo Nix was there 2 years right there. Using a lot of production that you losing from Bo Nix, a Heisman Trophy candidate. Bo Nix really turned the tide after being in college for what, 5-6 years. Really turned the tide. Bo Nix started off at Auburn, had a rocky start at the beginning of his career, didn't really do too good in the SEC, but revived his career and turned himself into a nice draft pick for the NFL. So right now, I want to see how Oregon replaced the quarterback position. I got faith in Dan Lanning. I believe he's going to have those guys ready. I believe he's going to have those guys prepared, but I just want to see how they look at the start of the season, how Dylan Gabriel handled the pressure.
But then at the same time, though, Cruz, I think they got better at quarterback. When you look at Gabriel and what that guy been able to do with throwing the ball and what he did at Oklahoma, I mean, the guy is honest in what the top 3, top 4 quarterbacks in college coming back this year.
So, where you see Gabriel at? You think Gabriel will put up the same amount of numbers or comparable? It's the same amount of numbers or eclipse Bo Nix stats?
I think he'll eclipse. I think he'll go beyond that. I think he's going to be the one that push him deep into the playoffs. Everything pretty much going to run through him, man. That's a quarterback heavy offense. How to get the ball out to the receivers. I think they're going to be a lot better on defense. And then, like I say, just looking at their schedule, man, they got. I mean, they should go 12-0. You know, the worst case 11-1, but they should go 12-0. That's why I put them at as of right now. You know, starting the season off, knowing how everybody look at it. They should be the number 1 team in the country until they get up to Ohio State.
Okay. All right. So right now you went Oregon number 1. So who would you go at number 2?
Alabama.
So Oregon at number 1, Alabama at number 2.
Yes,
Tell
sir.
us why you would pick Alabama at number 2.
I mean, hands down, you look at the last 10 years of the SEC, I think regardless if we got Nick Saban there or not, we have the talent there. We got a lot of transfers that came in, a lot of freshmen that's playing. I think our offense gonna really fit the team that we have. In my opinion, we got the best quarterback in the country that's coming back, and Jalen Milroe. And then also too, when you look at our schedule, I think our schedule is very favorable for us. Overall, like I'm kind of biased because it is Alabama, but I think we could easily end up, worst case 11-1 or 12-0 this year.
11-1, 12-1.
11-1 or 12-0.
I see it a little bit different than you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm a Florida State guy, but I'm also Alabama. I also root for Alabama. I want to see Alabama do the best that they can. But man, I really believe the discipline, the overachievement that Nick Saban put on that team. I think Alabama can lose 2 games. I'm not saying they're not going to be a playoff team. I think they got too much over there for not to be a playoff
but
team.
Everybody say that all the time, man. But you got to look at it like this. Man, Alabama getting 4- and 5-star recruits every single year, bro. They're getting the best talent in the country. Then not only that, they're getting transfers as well. That's a different ball game when you're looking at maybe like a USC or Illinois or somebody like that. Like they're not getting the same level of talent or same level of players that we're getting. So I can understand if maybe they got a new coach and something was different. But really, man, it's like a plug and play. I mean, look at Georgia when they got Kirby Smart. When they in Georgia and recruit nothing but pretty much 4- and 5-star players. It's a different level of talent when you're able to get those 4- and 5-star athletes, and then you can train them up, coach them up.
I'm trying to think, man. Who do I think can maybe challenge? And so, where do you see Alabama falling in the SEC?
Pull up their schedule. If something was to happen. If they was to fall, because I do not think, I know everybody wants to say Georgia's king, but man, we'll get to that. But when you're looking at Georgia's schedule, man, they finally got a real schedule. It's just like the same thing where everybody talking about Texas is going to come over and win the SEC. Man, these guys in the last 13, 14 years, I think they might have won their conference maybe twice. The same thing with Georgia outside of Alabama not making it to the SEC championship game. That's the only reason they didn't won, SEC championship maybe 2 times out of the last 10 years, but looking at their schedule, I can see possibly at LSU or maybe even at Oklahoma, one of those 2 That's the only. Those are the because going down to LSU is always a tough game. There's going to more likely be a night game, and I can see the same thing. Our first time over there in Oklahoma. Hopefully the guys ain't looking forward to the Iron Bowl, but I think that I think they could easily end up 11-1 or 12-0 would be great, but I don't think Georgia going to be our toughest challenge just because looking at what Georgia bring it back on defense. Their defensive line is not as strong as a lot of people make it seem. Just like the same with their cornerbacks, as well as in losing those guys, the weapons that they lost on offense. I don't think people talk about it enough.
Oh man, so let's see, man. Let's see, man. Where you see Alabama? Let's look at their schedule. We're gonna go through Alabama's schedule right now. First game of the season, West Kentucky. The second game, we got South Florida. Third game, Wisconsin. Let's start with them first three games. South Florida last year, is that back at South Florida or is it at Alabama this year?
They in Alabama.
Okay, so last year they took y'all to the Wild. Wild's a rainy game. What do you expect from this game here?
I mean, typical Alabama coming out, but we got to understand too, Alabama going to be new and different, man. It's going to be more like that West Coast offense. I think we're going to easily be scoring 35, 40 points a game. And I just think that the bar is just going to be able to use Jalen in a different light than, Coach Saban and the team was. Not saying that was bad under Coach Saban, but it's just going to be a different style of offense that we're running that's going to really utilize our athletes on the outside and utilizing the running backs.
So you say y'all. So I see Alabama 3-0. You believe Alabama can beat Georgia that second game, that fourth game of the season. So let's say Georgia
Alabama by 10, at least by 10.
You think Alabama beat Georgia by 10?
Yeah, I think we beat Georgia by 10.
So coming into that, you got Alabama and Georgia week 4 undefeated, or do you see Clemson beating Georgia, upsetting Georgia first game of the season?
I see Clemson upsetting Georgia. I'm predicting Georgia going to at least lose 3 games this year. But that's just my opinion, just because this is the first time Georgia had a real schedule. I mean, if you go look at it, in the last 5-6 years, this is, I think, outside of Florida, this got to be probably one of the hardest schedules in college football for Georgia.
Oh Lord, man! So you doing it like that?
Yeah, I'm doing it like that.
Oh man! So okay, so right there we gonna go Georgia. So at that time Georgia. So you saying Georgia gonna end up what 2-2 to start the season?
Yeah, so, I would say 2-2. Yeah, I think they're gonna lose to Clemson, man. Clemson got a lot of talent coming back on offense and defense, man. Everybody already know Clemson defense been really good. So I think they're gonna put it all together this year.
Now that I think about it, I thought y'all can lose 2 games this year. I'm ready to switch my pickup right now, and yeah, I might go. Y'all might lose 1 game because as I look down at it, after Georgia, you got Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Tennessee, Missouri, LSU, Mercer, Oklahoma, Auburn. Auburn is going to be a tough one, but I think y'all pull it out in the end. It's always tough. It don't matter if y'all want. If Alabama got 1 win, 2 wins, it don't matter. Auburn going to always be tough to play. So you're right, man. That schedule is lining up for y'all to have maybe 1 loss. I give you that. I don't expect anybody to go 2 undefeated. I'm expecting everybody to lose a game this year, just with how they put all the games together this year, all the teams. I'm expecting all these teams to lose at least probably 1 game. 1 game. And that's understandable. Now, I think in not saying nobody can't go undefeated, but knowing that it's 12-team playoff, I think it give a little, how do I say it? I think it might give some of these teams a little bit of relaxation. Not relax, like you got to win every game, but 1 game might not knock you out. You see what I'm saying? Before, every game mattered all the way down to the wire. So you can probably lose 1 game and man, you out. You know what I mean? Yeah. And depending on where you lose, with a 12-team playoff, it gives some of these big-time powerhouse programs a chance to actually lose a game or 2 and still make the playoffs and put themselves in a chance to be a national championship contention.
Yeah.
So, and then at 3, who you got at 3?
I got the Georgia Bulldogs at number 3.
So at 3, so we're going to say it again. At 1, we're going to go Oregon at 1. Alabama at 2, and at Georgia, you're going to switch to 3 instead of 1. What you think of Georgia?
And I got them at 3, even though I feel like they're going to lose the game, but I just knowing how they're going to come out, how everybody's just going to pretty much going to rank them just because of who they've been like the last 3 or 4 years. So I give them that respect for that. But like I said, if you pull up their schedule, I think they're going to lose to Clemson.
Okay, first game of the season, they got
beat
Clemson.
Tennessee Tech.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they got Tennessee Tech. I think they'll win that one. I think they'll beat Kentucky. I think they'll lose to Alabama. I think they'll beat Auburn and Mississippi State. I think they'll possibly lose to Texas. And then they got to go to Ole Miss. They got to go to Texas. They got to go to Ole Miss. And I don't know, man. Florida, I think they'll beat Florida, but I think that'll be a tough game. But I'm predicting them to lose to Ole Miss, and it could possibly be Tennessee as well, because Tennessee offense is gonna have a lot of firepower, got a good quarterback. Defense, I think, gonna be improved. So, but for sure, I got them losing to Clemson, Alabama, Texas, and Ole Miss. That's the 4 losses I got.
God,
think about it though.
4 losses.
But think about this. Georgia ain't never seen a schedule this hard in probably 20 years. If not, they ain't never seen a schedule this hard. Georgia ain't never played these caliber teams. I mean, think about it, dude. They're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that's really ranked in the top 15 right here.
Man, that's a bold statement you made right there, man.
Hey, it is what it is. Hey, I ain't been too wrong, Cruz, when I make these predictions. So
that's a really bold statement to come out and say on the podcast that Georgia's gonna lose 4 games.
Yeah,
4 games, and you believe that with your heart. So okay, we got Georgia.
Hey,
so
I can't say that. I'm about to say I'm willing to bet on it, but
you ready to lose every dime you got, man.
Hey, boy, I'm telling you.
Hey, how you gonna disrespect old Kirby Smart like that?
No, it ain't disrespecting, man. It's just really understanding football and looking at what they got coming back. I don't think people really, people just look at it like Georgia and Kirby Smart, but man, you got to understand, bro, you lost, but I might be saying his name wrong, but Brock Bowers, you lose that guy, that McCockney, I think is his name, another receiver, and I know they might got a couple transfers in. I know they got the transfer running back to come in and stuff, but Georgia always have a stable running back, so that don't do anything for me, the guy that came over from Florida. But I'm telling you where Georgia gonna have a lot of concerns at is their defensive line and the secondary. It's not as strong as a lot of people make it seem. And I think it's gonna put on blast when they are playing teams like Alabama, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. Even when they go to Florida and Clemson that first game, because Clemson run more of that option style offense with a lot of motion and stuff.
Okay, so you got Texas at 4?
Yes, sir. I got Ohio State at 4.
Oh, so you ain't got you got Ohio State at 4, Texas at 5?
Yes, sir, and Texas at 5.
Okay, so we're gonna go Ohio State. What you think Ohio State?
Oh man, they got a cupcake schedule, man. I think their only loss could possibly go to Oregon, and I'm gonna say Michigan, because Michigan been the king of that conference for like the last 4 years, I think 3 or 4 years. So I would say until they beat them, I don't see Ohio State going undefeated or winning that conference until they beat Michigan, and then they also got to play Oregon. So to me, that's their true test. You got. I forgot about Iowa. You got Oregon, Penn State's supposed to be good, and you got Michigan. So I just don't see them, running through that conference. I'm interested. The only reason I ain't gonna say Iowa because Iowa haven't had an offense man in probably 10 years or so. I know they got a new offensive coordinator over there. He finally fired his son from being offensive coordinator. So it's going to be interesting seeing them in this new offense and seeing if they can put some points on the board. Because, they remind me of like a Clemson. They got a stingy defense, but they just got to be able to put some points on the board.
Oh, man. So Ohio State, I'm going to surprise you with this right here. Coming into it, I didn't think Ohio State, and I'm putting up their schedule now. I'm looking at their schedule now. I see them smashing Akron. I see them smashing Western Michigan. I see them smashing Marshall. I see them beating Michigan State. I see them beating Iowa. If Iowa fight for 3 quarters, I think they just got too much. Oregon, I will agree with you at Oregon in Eugene. That's to be determined. Depending on what time they play them. If they play them at night, it's going to be Rockets in there. If they play them at nighttime, it's going to be Rockets. Nebraska. Now, my dark horse team, Nebraska. Yeah. Now, that game there, nobody talking about it. I think Nebraska last year, Nebraska had, a top 10 defense last year. They just didn't have an offense. I like what Matt Rule got going on over there. I like the confidence that they're instilling in those guys. I like the freshman quarterback, but guess what? We got to always put this in perspective. We got to look at it objectively. He is a true freshman coming in, stepping onto this stage. I think he might struggle a little bit by the time that he would have been unplayed. That'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. By week 7, I think he probably would have got the kinks out of him and started to figure out the understanding the speed of the college game, knowing that it's not high school, really understanding the offense, because you ain't going to really get your offense understood until you go up against not your defense in practice, but going up against other defenses, watching how they defensive line stemming, watching how the secondary is moving, watching how they disguise in coverages, understanding where your hot routes come from, understanding the time and the depth of where your receivers got to be inside of a real game when it's pressure and they really trying to come at you and take your head off. So I think by week 7, that freshman quarterback should be ready to perform, should be ready to produce. And if Nebraska can keep it together, I said it, Nebraska can start off the season 5-0. I believe Nebraska can start the season off 5-0. Starting the season off, Nebraska is a scary team that could be out there, man. So you're right about that, man. So I say, if that's the case, we got to have an upset on here. So this is what I'm going to do. I say Ohio State beat Oregon, get upset by Nebraska. I don't trust Penn State, never have, never will. They beat Penn State.
Yeah.
I believe Ohio State go 11-1.
I'm going to say 10-2. Until they beat Michigan, Michigan. And that's the thing too, man. I don't want to go too much into it, but, Michigan got so much still coming back, man. So, but we'll get into it.
Obviously, okay. So then we went there. So let's move on and let's go to Texas. Since you moved Texas down to 5, because in the power rankings they got Texas at 4. So really, they already got Texas at 4. So you moving Texas down to 5 really ain't no big deal. You basically just flop your team. You know what I mean? You moved Alabama up. So Texas about right where the AP got them at and stuff like that. What you like about Texas this year?
Man, honestly, man, it's tough, man, because Texas has been getting a lot of these injuries over the last few weeks. So now looking at that with one of their top running backs, which would have been one of the top running backs in the conference, in the SEC. But with the quarterback coming back, Urs, I think is his name. They got the transfer from Alabama at receiver. They got a couple other transfers that came in. Majority of their defense is coming back, except for about 2 or 3 people. So I think their defense and their offense is going to be really good. But it's just also too looking at knowing that the SEC is a lot different than the Big 12. So I just got to see how them boys going to be able to handle playing week in and week out versus those SEC schools. But also too, man, when you look at it, I mean, they got a tough schedule. I got them I'm predicting them to where they could either go 10-2 or 9-3 right now.
10-2 or 9-3 Texas. Let's look at it. I'm gonna pull their schedule up. I'm gonna pull their schedule up right now. So we'll pull Texas schedule up right now, and we'll see. So Colorado State, first game of the season.
That's a win.
That's a win. The Michigan game, I can see if you want to in Michigan, I can see where Michigan can give Steve Sarkisian some problems. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Texas lost a little bit on their defensive line. If I'm not mistaken.
They did. They lost about 2 or 3 people on the defensive line. They lost key linebackers. I think maybe a safety as well. But I know they got a couple of transfer from Alabama. But the main thing with me, and I think a lot of people not talk about when they go to Michigan, man, Michigan got pretty much almost the same defense back from last year. They're going to pretty much have some of the best 2 defensive tackles, and I think maybe defensive end in the country over there at Michigan. They're going to have the best safety in the country coming back, and they're going to have some good corners and stuff. So, and a lot of their linebackers came back. So, for me, Michigan, I think they're not really being looked at a lot, because people looked at, hey, Jim Harbaugh on the left, same as, with Coach Saban. But I think, man, Michigan going to be really good coming up this year.
Michigan, losing a running back. I think they got their running back, another running back coming back. They're gonna run the ball. We know
the other guy that was behind Corum was just as good.
Yeah, he was. I think Michigan gonna do what they do. They're gonna run the ball. They're gonna always be big. They're gonna maul you up front. I think Sharon Moore has a good understanding of what his team is. He got a good understanding of what his team need. What questioned me about Michigan, the quarterback position, which should always come down on every level. It don't matter where you is. How would a quarterback perform? How would a quarterback be able to make the plays that he needs to make when the game on the line? Michigan went undefeated last year. I think they almost went undefeated. They went undefeated 2 years in a row. Or they didn't lose in the regular season the last 2 years. Am I not mistaken? They beat Ohio State, so they ain't lost in 2 years neither. So they lost in the playoffs. So to lose that quarterback play, and not saying that he was elite, but to lose that stability, to lose a guy who's been there 4 years, to lose one of the all-time leading passers at school in school history, you just can't replace that. You know what I mean? And the leadership and the intangibles and the absolute understanding of the offense. You're right. Sharon Moore gonna have to, I think, mix it up a little bit, take care of him. He's going to protect him the most he can, run the ball. But I don't think they're going to be able to win a game like they did last year against Penn State and come out in the second half and run the ball 40 sometimes and not throw one pass in the second half. So that quarterback going to have to show us that he can deliver the ball down the field. He can hit the short intermediate routes, which they will try to do with him and try to protect him. But, man, Michigan, you're right, man. Michigan might lose 2 games. We going to see. The schedule don't look too
well, this Texas right here. So for me, looking at this for Texas, I'm looking at possibly losing to Michigan, Oklahoma. Until they beat Oklahoma, it's almost like how you said with Ole Miss. They got to beat Oklahoma. I don't think they'll beat maybe possibly Georgia, but you just never know. That's a 50-50 game. And then I think also too, Texas A&M going to be a lot better than a lot of people think, and they could possibly beat them. So that's why that's why I'm saying they 3 to 4 games can come. I don't see them running that schedule like. They say Texas is going to be the king of the SEC. I just can't see it based off this schedule.
Hey, I want to go.
Florida, come on, man. Kentucky, they got a hard schedule.
Now, this is what I want to do, right? I might go off topic right here, but I want to get this off right here. Because at first, as we looked at it, I think they said, hold on, let me pull them up right now. Man. So I'm gonna pull up Florida. You can see it, Smoke?
Yeah.
We're going to pull up Florida, right? And we're going to pull up their schedule. All right, so we're going to pull up their schedule. Listen, like at first glance, like I was like, okay. So first glance, I think Florida, what they got here? So we're going to pull up Florida. They got Miami at 19. They got 1, 2, Texas A&M 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They got 12 games, and 8 of them are top 25 teams. The last of their schedule, they're going to finish with Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. So that's number 10, 6, 13, 4. Oh, wait, hold on. They got to finish with number 1, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. So
that got to be the and then 1, even 2, though they're 3, not 4, ranked, 5, 6, 7. Even though they're not ranked, when you look at that scratch, bro, they got to pay 10. Go back up, crew.
All right, hold on. Let's go back up.
Florida. Like, even though they're not ranked, but when you really look at that last 8 games, you're talking Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State. Bro, that's insane. Because you can't just discredit Kentucky. Kentucky has always, last few years been a 10-2, 9-3 team.
Hey, listen. I was doing some thinking, right? And as I looked at the schedule, like, it's easy for us to come in here and talk right now because this is just our predictions, what we believe in at the beginning of the season. Some of these teams that's ranked high, we know might struggle, might lose a quarterback, might lose a receiver. But if we just gonna go off right now, I'm willing to give Florida some grace right now, Smoke, because you said something to me a couple of weeks ago when we was talking, and you say Florida. But as I think about it, as bad as this schedule is down the stretch, and I'm a Florida State fan. We at 10. They gonna always play us tough. I think we'll pull it off in the end. They got to come to Florida State, but I'm willing to say 6-6 or 7-5 for this team this year. If this team can go 7-5, I think 75. They're already looking at Napier sideways, which I think is an excellent coach. I just think, man, that team ain't what it's been over the last year. It ain't been the same really since Dan Quinn had a decent run, but I say Urban Meyer.
Dan Mullen, really? Dan Mullen was good.
But to me, Billy Napier, I like him as a coach. Man, If
If
they
he
can go
goes 6 and 6,
7-5,
he need to keep his job.
yeah.
6 and
Right now,
6, he should keep his job.
7-5, they need to build a statue.
Hey,
Listen,
you ain't
that's
lying
sad.
though,
Hey, listen,
cool. That
that's
ain't brutal,
sad.
boy.
Listen, that's sad coming from, listen, y'all, that's sad, and that's Florida. That's a blue blood school, always been a top program in NCAA. For me to say that, for me that come, I'm a diehard Florida State fan. I don't like nothing Florida Gators, nothing. But if they go 75, I will pat them on the back. I'm talking about it need to be a statue out there, like they won a national championship, because that schedule is one of the worst schedules. Just the last 7 games, you got Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. I mean, oh my God! Like Napier need to go to the front office right now and ask them if I can just give me 7 wins. Just don't make me lose my job, because he having a hard time right now over there in Florida right now. It was birds chirping last year about his job. You know what I mean? But yeah, I just want to go back to that, man. But we're gonna go back to a team that who you got at. You said 5. You had Texas, right?
Yeah, 6. I got Ole Miss. 7,
All right.
pretty much just like the normal schedule. I got 6 Ole Miss, 7 Notre Dame, 8 Penn State, 9 Michigan, and 10 Florida State, and 11 Missouri.
Okay, then. So who you think out of those teams, out of Ole Miss, we talked about Ole Miss? No, we didn't talk about Ole Miss.
Yeah, 6 through 11. Yeah.
So we're gonna go 6 through 11 right now. So Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, Florida State, Missouri. Which one of those teams fall out the top 12 at the end of the year as the season progresses? Which one of those teams you think fall off or don't make it through?
Oh man, I'm gonna say possibly Notre Dame, because if you look at it, I think Ole Miss schedule might be pretty easy. If you can click on Ole Miss real quick.
All right, hold on. Let me pull up Ole Miss schedule.
So you look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. They got to play LSU, Oklahoma, and Georgia. That's going to be their task in Florida. So they got 4 tough games, but I think going into the swamp, like Oklahoma got to go there, Georgia got to go there. I truly believe this can be the year that not LSU, but Ole Miss get over the hump. I think if they was to lose a game, it might be like to Oklahoma. I think they'll beat Georgia this year. That's just my true beliefs, but I think they'll be like 11-1. And then they ain't got to play Alabama this year. It's the first year they ain't had to play them in probably like 5 years or so.
Okay, so looking at the schedule, if I go back and look at their schedule, I'm gonna say Ole Miss. You know how I feel about Ole Miss, man. Ole Miss, Lane got to do something about that.
But you know, I understand that. Like, this is second year with the defensive coordinator, the guy that came over from Alabama. But man, they got a lot of offensive weapons. Like the quarterback coming back, even though they lost one of the top running backs to Ohio State. They recruited and in the transfer portal. They got a lot of good running backs that came in. They got some receivers. They got some DBs that came in. One of the top DBs that was coming back even from Alabama, they got in the transfer portal. So I just think what they done in the transfer portal, they got a lot better on defense and some offensive players.
Yo, Smoke, come back in. Who's in the chat? Is anybody in the chat? Can somebody, if anybody's in here, could y'all say something in the chat so I can know? Hold on, let me see. We had a technical difficulty. Hold on. All right, Smoke, hold on. What happened, Smoke? We good?
Yeah, man, you got that weak internet over there, man.
Nah, man, ain't no weak internet, man. Hold on, let me make sure this right. Let me see something. Let me see something. Let me make sure everything goes right. Hold on. Hold on, let me see. Is everything good right now?
Yeah, we good, baby boy.
Okay, everything good, everything good, everything good. I just want to make sure everything was right. Okay. So we got it.
Yeah, but yeah, nah, man, we were talking about Ole Miss, but I think Ole Miss, man, they worst case, I think they'll end up 10-2. But I think they're gonna get Georgia. Just worst case 10-2. My prediction maybe 11-1.
Oh man. So okay, I can respect that. I can respect that. So you say Ole Miss 10-2, 11-1. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say I'm gonna say Ole Miss lose 2 games.
Hmm.
I say they lose 2 games. I think Lane, if Lane gonna do it, this got to be the year that he does it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I think because Lane is always close every year, but sometimes he loses them games down the end of the stretch. He always got these
Yeah.
heartbreaking losses, man. So if Lane
Yeah.
can get over the hump, man, I think he got a good team. I don't know.
Mm.
Losing that running back scares me a little bit, but
Yeah.
that's why he bring new guys in. Lane is a good coach. He is a good offensive mind. The offense will be humming. That's never a question with Lane. So we're gonna see, man, how Lane do, man. So who we had that was at 6, right? Ole
Yeah,
Miss.
and they got Notre Dame at 7. I mean, I ain't really too fond of having Notre Dame at 7. I mean, I don't think they're better than Florida State or Missouri and some of these other teams on here. But just for this sake, I say but look at their schedule. But even looking at their schedule, I can see possibly Texas A&M. They getting beat by Texas A&M and also Florida State. So I'm looking at them probably finishing the year 10-2.
What about USC? The last game of the season, USC.
Man, they be choking, man. They got a new quarterback. They defense sucky, so I don't even see how USC ranked in the top 25 right now, to be honest.
He said he don't even see how USC ranked top 25.
Yeah.
Oh man, they did lose a lot. A lot of people saying USC got a team this year though.
Man, they say that every year. Every year, man. They're too small, man. We're gonna see they're gonna take them a few years to, get some boys that's beefed up on their defensive line and some defensive player, man. It's the caliber of players that they're going after over there at USC. They gotta change the style of players that they're going at.
The team. All right. So the team that I like this year, and I told you this off camera when we was talking about this, the team that I like, and I'm gonna pull them up right here. The team, my team that I think finally can make it to the playoffs. And y'all know the Nittany Lions, Penn State. Whoa, Penn State. Penn State. Now, I got mixed feelings with Penn State, y'all. I got mixed feelings with Penn State. They never can win the big game. When you need them to win the big game, Penn State never put it together, never do what they got to do, never can get it done. They can't beat Ohio State. They can't beat Michigan. And that offense has been losing Manny Diaz. I don't know how good that defense is. We know Manny Diaz, whatever team he's at, he got a top 10 team. Manny Diaz over there at Duke now. So we don't know how he's going to do as a head coach. Normally, when the Manny Diaz come a head coach, his defense falters. But as a defensive coordinator, Manny Diaz has been one of the best defensive coordinators over the last 10 years in NCAA, and it's not even close. He keep a top 5, top 10 defense every single year. There's no debating about that. So losing Manny Diaz, we're going to see how he get them boys, they can get them boys playing over there. But, man, I like their quarterback, young guy. So, first game of the season, they got West Virginia. West Virginia, that came down to overtime last year. It was that's going to be a tough game at West Virginia. Bowling Green.
But I predict them where they could possibly lose to West Virginia. And the reason why I say that, man, because West Virginia, pretty much the entire offense came back from last year. They started playing really good down the stretch last year. I think they got some transfer that came in to help them out on defense. But I think, man, West Virginia is going to be a whole lot better than a lot of people think. So, I mean, it's a 50-50 thing. I have to see how they come out start the year, but I think they could lose to West Virginia.
Oh, man.
Then I think they get Ohio State this year. Like I say, worst case, if they was to lose, it'd be like that first game, maybe West Virginia just trying to figure out everything. But I think they get Ohio State, man.
Oh, man. You think they get Ohio State this year?
Yeah, I think this is the year, man.
That man say he think it's this the year that them boys pull it off. Well, we're going to see, man. We're going to see, man. You know me. I do not trust these boys. I do not believe they can get it done. I don't know why.
But you think they can make the playoff?
I think they can make the playoffs. I think they can make the playoffs. I think if we going off every other year, would they done lost one game over the last 2 years?
Yeah, at least 1 or 2 games, I think.
1 or 2 games over the last 2 years, they would have been in the playoffs. I think I was looking at a podcast with Joel Klatt, I think, and they was talking about it that if the playoffs, if we had 12-team playoffs over the last 4 years, Nittany Lions would have made the playoffs, and I got to roll with that, man. I like that.
How though? How? Because
Okay.
when you really look at the Big Ten, you're looking at Michigan been first the last 3-4 years. Then you have Ohio State, and that's debatable. No,
but remember they got screwed a couple years ago.
Let me rephrase that, and it's not even Ohio State. The number 1 team in that conference has been Michigan, and then just based off of who, and I know it's going to sound crazy, but just based off of who's going to the conference championship game, then you have Iowa, then Michigan. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sorry, and then Ohio State. So Ohio State, in a sense, been the 3rd best team in that conference the last 3-4 years.
But what I'm saying is Penn State been kind of getting by Iowa. But what I'm saying is Iowa's been able to go win them championships because they've been. You got to remember Penn State on that same side. Now the conference is split. That's what I mean by they can finally make it. Remember before they was on the same side as Iowa and Ohio State and Michigan. Now that they got it, it ain't no size now. Now it's just one big thing. Now they got a chance to get in there.
Yeah.
And I think they want to get, you know how this politics go. I think they want to get Penn State in there. And why not, man? Listen, one of the prettiest stadiums, especially at night, to see that all white, man, at nighttime out there in Pennsylvania, man. That's one of the beautiful stadiums, man, in the college football, man. So Bowling Green, Kent State, Illinois, UCLA, USC, Wisconsin. Oh, man, Wisconsin, what you think? Oh, my God. We sleeping on Wisconsin, too, man. That's a team that I don't even think.
I ain't going down that rabbit hole with you. No, they're gonna be trash.
Hey, you ain't going down that rabbit hole with me, man. Why?
No,
Wisconsin,
I ain't gonna do that.
Listen, Wisconsin,
they got,
I
think his name Fluke or something like that over there. I mean, he a good coach, man, but it's gonna take them a few years to get right. I mean, they gonna always play a little tough and stuff, but no, man, I ain't ready to crown them as doing anything just yet.
I can respect it. I respect it. Who we got now at number 9? We talked about Michigan already, right?
No, we ain't went into Michigan yet. So let's pull up Michigan's schedule. But
we're gonna pull up Michigan's schedule right now. Let's see what Michigan at 9. I think teams they're a little down on Michigan because the Harbaugh effect, I think. So,
bro, but look at this schedule though. You talking about? I think they beat Texas.
Wait, first game, Fresno.
USC.
Fresno gonna always.
Yeah, man, come on, bro. We ain't gonna go into that. Fresno first win. Texas is a win. Arkansas State a win. USC. See, the only team I'm predicting them to possibly lose to me is Oregon, possibly Ohio State, but they've been owning them the last few years. But I'm gonna say Oregon, and I just got a lot of high hopes for Michigan just because of like the defensive talent that they bringing back.
Okay, so you liking the defensive talent that they bringing back. So we're gonna see, man. So
yep.
I'm gonna see, man, who I like, man. So where you see Michigan going then? How many games?
Huh?
I see 3 losses on here. I see 3 losses.
I'm predicting them to go 11 and maybe 11-1. Worst case 10-2. Because, like I say, I think Oregon, because of how their schedule is more favorable than anybody else, especially in that top 5. So I'm gonna automatically say they go 11-1. You know, worst case 11-1. I think is what they go, Michigan, and I think that's losing to Oregon.
Hold on, bro. So you say you lose? They losing to Oregon? All right, hold on. Hold on, Smoke. I'm having a problem with the chat, Smoke. So I'm having a problem with my chat right now. Hold on. Let me fix this. Hold on. Let me fix this. Let me fix it. Keep going, Smoke.
Yeah, but let me see. Uh, um, who else we got on here, crew? Got Florida State at 10. Man, I think let me see, looking at Florida State schedule, I think Florida State probably lose. I think it's 2 games. I'm predicting them to lose to possibly Clemson and also to Virginia Tech.
You like us losing?
Florida State.
Hey, that's total disrespect.
Yeah, I like y'all lose. Like I said, man, I got a lot of. Hey, it ain't disrespect, keeping it real. But y'all got a couple tough games on here. But I'm gonna say Clemson. Y'all don't play Virginia Tech. I thought y'all played them. So I'm gonna say really, I'm predicting y'all to lose 1 game, and the other one that kind of get me, it's a tough game, is that Notre Dame game because y'all got to play in Notre Dame. It's a night game, 7:30. But the other game, like I was telling you too, y'all got to be careful for is the Georgia Tech game because Georgia Tech always play you guys close. I think Georgia Tech gonna be a lot stronger this year than they've been in the previous years. And I like the coach they got there. And also too, don't sleep on Boston College, man, because Boston College got I forgot that head coach they got over there now, but Boston College always play y'all tough, and that's a Monday night game too, prime time Monday night.
I like us, man, to go. I'm gonna tell you where I see us at. I'm gonna tell you where I see us at.
I forgot about Miami now. Everybody talk about Miami, but I'm kind of like Miami when you say like Ole Miss. I don't trust them till I see them beat somebody, because they get hyped every year, but I don't know about Miami.
Okay, so I'm gonna go Florida State. We're gonna look at their schedule, man. Georgia Tech, this is what I'm gonna say with us. Georgia Tech, I'm gonna be objective. I'm a Florida State guy, so I'm gonna be objective. Georgia Tech, I think we pull that out. Boston College, that's gonna be a tough one, but I think we pull that out. I think we beat Memphis. I think we beat Cal. I think we beat SMU. Clemson game is at us. That came down to the wire. That could be a tricky one. I'll say that's 7. I say 75. We could probably pull that off. Miami scares me this year because Miami is a dark horse team for me this year. I think Miami probably gonna lose 1 game, and I'm hoping that it's to us. I looked at their schedule. Their schedule is not too bad. North Carolina, Notre Dame is probably gonna be a tough game for us. And Florida, I say, was always gonna be tough versus us. Florida is always gonna hold us. It don't matter if we undefeated. It don't matter if Florida undefeated. It don't matter if we undefeated. Florida always gonna be a tough game for Florida State, a rivalry game. You can't take that back. So man, I'm gonna always believe that they're gonna always give us a tough match.
Mm-hmm. And then next, I think we got Missouri. I think Missouri gonna be a good team. Their schedule is set up too, man, for them to make the playoffs and stuff. I think they got a pretty easy schedule. I think one of the toughest games is really just going to Alabama. I know a lot of people out there got it predicted that Missouri is going to beat them. They got their quarterback coming back. They got the top receiver in the nation coming back. But then they did have to replace a lot of talent on their defense. So for right now, I'm predicting them. I'm predicting them to trying to pull it up right now, but it lose to Alabama, pretty much just Alabama. I'm predicting them to lose to really only Alabama and possibly Oklahoma that next week. So probably them going 10-2.
Oh man, boy, you bullish on them boys. 10-2.
Yeah, man, their schedule is easy. I mean, they got Murray State, Buffalo, Boston College. Then they got Vanderbilt. Then they got Texas A&M. That's kind of like my dark horse team, man. I like they coach that came over from Duke. You got Massachusetts. You got Auburn. Then you got Alabama, Oklahoma. You got South Carolina, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. So that's why I say it's not too bad. They just really got Alabama and Oklahoma that's back-to-back, 2 tough games.
Oh,
and then I think they got number 12. Well, for me, I put 12 Clemson, 13 LSU, 14 Tennessee, and 15 Oklahoma is what I put on my list. So really, I personally don't only team that I look at out of that that top 15 that can possibly go and make the playoffs, I would say is really Tennessee out of Utah, LSU, Clemson, and Tennessee. And 16 through 20 or 17 through 25, I pretty much had the same thing that the AP when they put the top 25 out, the same order I have it as.
All right, so 17 through 25. I got out of 17 through 25. To me, I got Miami going to the playoffs this year. From 17 to 20. So you got Oklahoma State. I don't think Oklahoma going to the playoffs. I don't think Tennessee going to the playoffs. Utah, maybe. Utah. Let me look at Utah's schedule. Let me look at this schedule.
Miami.
I like Miami. We can pull up their schedule right now too. I'll pull up Miami's schedule. Miami is my dark horse team, and listen. What we gonna do? We call this thing down the middle over here. Hey, listen. Would you rather live with the truth or die with the lie? And I can't lie.
That's good, boy. That's favorable.
That's favorable. I'm telling you, man. Listen,
Miami.
If Miami can beat Florida, and I'm a Florida State fan. This ain't no. I'm a diehard Florida State. I can't stand the Florida Gators or the Miami Hurricanes. But if I'm being objective,
how they get that schedule like that?
If they can beat Florida to start the season off, Florida game is going to determine their season. If they can beat Florida, they got to play FAMU, Ball State, South Florida, Virginia Tech, Cal, Louisville, Florida State.
That's where they can lose right there, crew. Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech will always play them tough. Virginia Tech, but even at that, they're going to start off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They'll start 4-0 going into Virginia Tech game at VTech. Then if they beat just say they. To me, this is where I'm going though. You think Virginia Tech can scare them? I say they scare them. They beat VTech. They beat Cal. Louisville can be a tough one. I say Louisville. I'm gonna say right here the only 3 games that I can say where they can get a loss because I'm gonna ride with Florida State regardless. I think Florida State can give them their only loss, but everybody else, man, I don't see nobody else beat Miami this year, man. If Cam Ward can do what they brought him over there to do, and if he can perform at the highest level where they need him to perform at, I think he's a complete upgrade from the quarterback they had last year. He can get out with his legs. If you blitz him, he can get around. He can throw plays all platform. If he can get that offense down fat and he can get that team to follow and rally behind him, Miami is going to be a tough team to play. I like the head coach over there. I think he made of the right stuff. I think the people in the town and the city is behind him. So, man, listen, Miami going to be jumping. I got to give it up to him. So that schedule look mighty favorable. So from 17 to 25, Miami is the only team that I see making the playoffs from 17 to 25.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I ain't know they schedule like that. Golly.
Yes, I looked at their schedule. I was like, man, Miami got it. Listen, if he lose more than 1 game, they might fire. He on the trade, he on the block. I'm dead serious. You ain't gonna get a better schedule than that. I'm saying you ain't gonna get a better schedule than that right now. So 17 to 25, we got Miami the only team down there because Oklahoma. Matter of fact, forget that. I'm gonna say 15 down. We know Tennessee ain't making the playoffs. Oklahoma, I don't think making it. Oklahoma State, K-State, Miami, Texas A&M, Arizona, Kansas, USC, NC State, Iowa.
But see, you know what? I got to go back and change that. Oklahoma State will make the playoff. Oklahoma State have pretty much outside of Oklahoma, they had really been the king of the Big 12. So that's one of the teams that's the team I'm picking to win the Big 12. So they're going to automatically get in the top 12 just because they're going to win the Big 12.
I'm here, Smoke.
No, but I got them automatically. I forgot about that. I got them automatically getting in just because I figure they're gonna win that conference.
What they schedule? We're gonna look at their schedule though. We gotta look at the Oklahoma State schedule.
Man, because think about it, man, Oklahoma State always like about 10-2 or right there, lose a silly game or something. So
they don't got to play Texas this year, right? I'm assuming. So Oklahoma State. They brought Ali back, right?
Who?
Damn, you right, bro. Ali the running back. Golly.
1, 2, 3. See, the only team they toughest task gonna be Utah.
Yeah,
and then Kansas State, you know, but I don't know how. But Kansas they weren't too good last year, if I remember right, from the end of the year. But other than that, I mean, they really only true tasks based off of this year really be just Utah. Because Utah is the only other team I see that can be. So I figured they're gonna play Utah twice. They play Utah there, and then I feel like in the Big 12 championship game they'll play again.
Oh man, they gonna have a Big 12 championship this year?
Yeah, they're gonna have one over there. They're gonna, the top two teams.
Okay, so we're gonna see. I gotta see something.
All right.
So it's between Miami and because Miami and the ACC with Florida State and the Pac Big 12 conference. Oklahoma State, do they play Colorado this year? I didn't see Colorado on there.
Yeah, they play Colorado last game of the season.
Okay, all right. So that if they can beat that might knock them out.
Who?
If Colorado can
beat Oklahoma State.
You don't think so?
Man, no, man. Listen, man. Everybody be hyped up because Colorado is still Colorado. I told y'all that last year. Everybody get them all hyped up because they got Deion. That don't mean nothing, bro. You still got to have the athletes and the player to compete with these schools, bro. Pull up their schedule. Just look at it. Let me see. Colorado.
I'll pull up their schedule right now.
Like y'all be on that jump, that Deion and all that stuff like that, man. These boys got to play these teams, bro. Like they got North Dakota State. That first game, that's a win. Then they got to play. You finna pull them up?
I'm about to pull them up right now. I'm pulling them up right now.
They in the.
Okay, I'm pulling them up right now. So North Dakota State first game of the season. Damn, hold on. Colorado got 1, 2, 3, 4. They got 5 teams in top 25 right now.
Bro, just look at it from Kansas State down. Just think about it. They got to play Kansas State. They got to play Arizona. They got to play Cincinnati. Texas Tech, to me, even though they ain't ranked, that offense that they run is a great offense. You're talking about Utah. You're talking about Kansas. Kansas going to have one of the best quarterbacks in the country coming back. You got Oklahoma State. It's like, bro, they ain't got no cupcake team. You already say Nebraska was your dark horse team. And we already seen how Colorado State played them last year. And them boys got majority of everybody coming back. I mean, I look at them, the first 5 games, I see they're beating North Dakota State. I think they lose to Nebraska. I think they win at Colorado State. I think they win at Baylor. It's going to be tough, but maybe they might pull it out at UCF, but that's going to be a tough game. I think they lose to Kansas State. I think they lose to Arizona. I think they beat Cincinnati. I think they lose to Texas Tech. I think they lose to Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State.
So you
then
saying
after that, Deion gonna be fighting for a job.
God.
So I'm saying right now they're gonna lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're gonna lose 7. They're gonna go 5 and 7.
What they went last year? 4 and 8?
Something like that. Yeah, 4 and 8. So they go 5 and 7.
So they one more game better than last year.
Maybe.
Man, that's a bold statement right there, man.
Hey, you tell me where they're gonna get more than 5 wins at. Please identify them.
All right, hold on. I say they go North Dakota State, Nebraska.
They're gonna go to Nebraska and beat Nebraska the second game of the season.
Listen, Nebraska fought them last year, but Nebraska, I got to see how their offense is. I was high on Nebraska beating them, but right now I'm gonna go with a proven quarterback. That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna go with a proven quarterback right now.
What about Colorado defense? Their defensive line. What about their offense that gave up the most sacks in the country last year?
They brought in 5 new offensive linemen. They got the number 1 offensive tackle in the country. So we got to give them that.
Well, they don't have the number 1 offensive tackle in the country because last I heard that was at Alabama.
No, I'm talking about freshman coming in. Number 1 offensive tackle coming in, a freshman. They got him starting over.
Freshman? Come on, in the Big 12. Come on, man. So but anyway, I'll let you go ahead.
So I'm gonna go North Dakota. That's a win. Nebraska. That's a win. Colorado State. That's a win. Baylor. They put it off late. Central Florida. They lose because they got to go to Central Florida. K-State. They lose. Arizona, they lose. They beat Cincinnati. They beat Texas Tech. They lose to Utah. They beat Kansas. They upset Oklahoma State last game of the season.
You got them going like 75.
Yeah, I got them going 75 this year.
So I got to go 75.
Yeah, he's gonna make a bowl game this year, man. I got Colorado going 75, man. I gotta give them boys their respect, man. I gotta
man, please. Hey, it's at the end of the day, it's Colorado until they prove something different, man.
I ain't mad at you about that, man. I promise you, I'm really not mad at you about that. I got to give it up to them, man. I think they go 75. So, man, look, man, we did our top 25 this year. We did our top 25. We finished off at the end who we thought was gonna come from the top 25, man. Hey, man, listen, we're gonna get off here. We've been on about an hour. I want to give a big shout out to everybody who tuned in, to the chat, everybody who came in. We had some technical difficulties with our chat. I seen some people that comment in the chat, but I did pop up in our chat. So I got to fix that and figure out what's going on, why I could not see people in the chat that comment. I don't want nobody to think I'm not seeing any comments and stuff like that. But I want to thank everybody who tuned in, man. Appreciate everybody who came in the chat. Welcome to the Dawg Cage. Where my dogs at? Hey, good show, man. Appreciate it, man. Catch y'all out on the next screen. Hold on, Smoke.